it's Dora. How's everyone doing today? If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Dora K. Fulton, and on this channel we talk all things motivation and some creativity in the mix, as well as my new series Entrepreneur Life, where I show a behind the scenes of what it's like to be an online ESL teacher and entrepreneur. Welcome, welcome. But I think, friends, that it's important that I talk about something that really irks me, something that I feel a lot of people can relate to, even though they may not be in the same profession as I am, but they can relate to it. So let's talk about it. For this video, I want to talk about the misconceptions of being an ESL teacher. Specifically, you're not a real teacher. Now, for my teachers out there, this one's for you. And this is a topic that I'm very passionate about and something I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. But I will confess that I was nervous because I did not want to offend anyone or feel like I'm being snarky about the situation. But I think some years have passed. Certain folks I don't talk to no more. So I think it's okay that I come out and speak my truth. So, a little backstory. I have been an ESL teacher for soon to be 15 years. Next month will make 15 years that I have been teaching ESL. 15 years I have been teaching English as a second language, and I'm so proud of that, and it makes me so happy to even think about it. And it has been a long and difficult journey. I'm not going to lie and say it was all peachy, because it has its ups and downs. I'm happy to say that my students are the reason why I am still in this field, but I've had my share of ups and downs, so there's no doubt about that. Now, why am I talking about this topic, you're not a real teacher? And I use the term misconceptions is because a lot of people, sadly to say, may be a little ignorant to the differences between educators. There are some of us teachers that teach elementary school, junior high, high school, and then higher ed, which is college or university. And then you have the Doras, and this is where I come in. This is where adult education come in. So this is ESL, adult literacy, adult basic education, etc. Now, you don't have to care about the differences, and you don't even have to care about what I'm about to say, but I think it's worthy to note that when people make comments to me that, oh, you're not a real teacher because you don't teach children, you know, it's something about that just because I feel as though if you don't teach children, then you're not a real teacher. And I don't know who made up that lie, but that's certainly not true. Or if you tell people I teach adults and it's not higher ed or higher education, then it's like, you're not a real teacher because you work with that population. Yes, I've actually had someone tell me that population. And you know, over the years, I've grown my confidence, and I'm not afraid to really speak my mind nowadays. And I'm like, you know what does that word "that" mean? What does that population mean? And this is where people leave me alone, because there's a bit of a prejudice, I feel, when you talk about adult ed versus higher education or public school education. And again, I'm here to tell you I respect all teachers at all levels, because it takes a hell of a lot to be an ESL teacher, and any teacher for that matter. And I think it's wrong for people to assume that because you work with the adult population, or particularly adult education, that kind of lessens your abilities or that lessens your credentials. I don't know. I will never understand that. I remember one time I was teaching a night class, and the place I was working at had a space in a public school. So we would use sometimes we would use like the classrooms at this public school to teach out night ESL classes. And one night I'm minding my business and I'm erasing the board, and a janitor walks in, and you know, at first I thought he was a cool guy, you know, always said hello, you know, all nice, all love. And he just, out of nowhere, I don't even know what possessed him to say this, he just looked at me, he said, "You're not a real teacher." Like, excuse me? He said, "You're not a real teacher. I mean, what do you do anyway?" I'm like, "I teach English." "You're not a real teacher. If you was a real teacher, you'll be teaching children." Well, I didn't know someone of his caliber can make such an assumption, but you learn something new every day. And I'm not saying this to disrespect being a janitor or anything like that. I respect all workers, blue collar, white collar, doesn't matter. But his ignorance was just so like cringy. Like, How can you make a statement like that? And the worst part about this story is that, you know, he's been knowing me for some time because I've been teaching at this place for some years. So for him to make that comment to me was just so left field, and I was really confused. I can't tell you how many conferences I've been to, and especially when you go to the exhibit hall and you talk with the book publishers about certain books that you want to get for your classes. And a lot of times they have like a sign up list so you can sign up for a free sample or maybe even an invite to your school. And there was one time I was talking to the book publisher, very lovely woman, and I was explaining to her what I do and how much I love teaching ESL, and this woman came out of nowhere, just very, you know, and she just looks at me and she's like, how long have you been a teacher? Just like that, you know. And I said, now at the time I was still kind of young in the game, so let's say for the sake of argument it could have been maybe 4 years, 5 years. It hasn't been a long time. And she looks at me, she's like, oh, because I've been doing this for 20 years. And I'm like, great. Yeah, I'm young, I'm excited. I'm like, that's awesome. Like, tell me more. But she was so like up nose, you know? And when I expressed to her the population of people I was working with, my location, we're all from the same hometown. And why I love teaching ESL so much, she was like, why would you want to work with that population? You know, have you ever considered higher ed? And everything was just very up nose, you know. And one thing I will say now, and I will continue to say on camera and off camera, anyone who knows me knows this for a fact, I can't stand stuck up people. I really can't. If you're stuck up, if I've known you before, this is why we don't talk now. I can't stand people who think they're better than others. There's something about that just, ooh, because I feel like being humble goes a longer way than being a snot. But okay, that's just my opinion. So she's just going on and on about her experience, and she's done all these wonderful things and blah blah blah, you know. And at the time I wasn't as confident as I am now, where I can kind of combat that, you know. I just let her talk and I said okay, fine, and I was done with the discussion. I moved on. But there have been times over the years when I've had other teachers come at me like that, and the first thing I always say is, what inspired you to be an ESL teacher? You know, and I do that not to be a snot nose. I do that because I'm curious. If you're so bold to go to a perfect stranger at an event and just start carrying on like you're the best teacher out there, you're so wonderful, then I need to understand where all this is coming from. So this is why I asked this question. 9 times out of 10, the people I've talked to or who've come at me like that, they don't like this question apparently, because they look at me with all types of why are you asking me this, all this suspicion. They walk away and don't say nothing, or they respond, but based on their response I kind of know like this was just for a paycheck, you know, this wasn't for passion, you know, this is not something that you love to do. Okay. The thing is, friends, is that this is in no way to bash other teachers or to bash people's backgrounds or anything like that, but I need to make it clear, really clear, that being a teacher is just that, being a teacher. We are the backbones of educating the world, okay? And this is something that I personally believe in. If you do too, please leave a comment and let me know, because I just feel really aggravated when people take our job like it's no big deal and they somehow knock it and make us feel like what you're doing is nothing. That goes for my adult literacy teachers too. The literacy is a little different from ESL. ESL is English as a second language. Literacy just means that these are people who can speak the language, but they may be illiterate or have low literacy skills in their reading and writing. So you can't just clump everybody in one category and say, hey, this is what it is. And it's important to know the difference. But to tell someone that you're not a real teacher because you don't work with children, it's just really rude, and I think it's not a nice thing to say. I think it's better to ask the educator what level that they teach, and when they tell you, just accept it and move on. You know, you don't have to be snarky, you don't have to be stuck up or rude about it, because everyone's journey is different and everyone has their own interests and everyone's entitled to teach who they want to teach. Not everyone can be a high school teacher. I'll be honest, I'm one of them. I don't have patience for young people, with all due respect, but adults, we're here, you know. And there are teachers I've met who cannot stand working with the adult population, but they're excellent, and I mean excellent, working with kids. Okay, so teachers get my respect. And I think that in general we need to stop with this misconception that if you are ESL, automatically you're poor, you're backpacking and traveling the world, sleeping on couches, and you don't get training, you don't learn nothing, you just randomly teach some English because you're a native speaker, and automatically that makes you qualified. Well, sorry to disappoint you, friends, but that's not true. To be an effective ESL teacher or anything in this life, you have to get some type of training, some type of formal training to learn how, that's the key, how to teach and how to implement your lessons and how to help your students. It's not enough just to say I'm a teacher because I'm a native speaker. I'm a native speaker, and I will tell you right now that I have struggled to teach ESL because the things that we have to teach our students, maybe we didn't learn in school. Maybe we didn't learn it that way. You know, some of us learn different ways. So in conclusion, be kind to us teachers. You know, we really have hard jobs. We wear a lot of different hats. We teach, we become social workers, we're counselors, we're mentors. You know, we do a lot to help. And just because you're working in adult ed doesn't make you less of a teacher. Sometimes adult education is even harder because there's something called advocacy for funding. There's something called not getting the respect that you deserve. There's something called favoritism. There's something called you know, hate to say this, bad teachers, which I don't like to consider them teachers. These are people who just take this for granted and just think that this is no big deal. There's a lot of garbage that you tend to find, sadly, in adult ed that we need to clean up. And people will, I believe, will start to respect what we do more if we, as a community, come together and stop bashing each other. You know, let's show that support. If you have 20-something years in the game, that's great. I will shake your hand personally, but that doesn't give you the right to say you're not a real teacher because of what you do. And even if you had 2 years experience or 1 year experience, it doesn't give you the right to bash anyone. We all need to respect each other because it takes all of us to make a difference in this world, from the babies to the adults. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope it resonated with some of you out there. Even if you're not a teacher, be proud of who you are and what you do. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise, because people always have something to say. And there's a reason why now I don't associate with half those people anymore, because a lot of people talk a lot of garbage and say, hey, you're stupid for still doing this. When you're going to get a real job, blah, blah, blah. And let me just say this now, darling. 15 years later, with my own business and still able to talk about ESL and still be able to help fellow teachers out there and help students out there, and I still have contact with my students from back in the day, I must be doing something right. So for the naysayers who have so much to say about me and, oh, you know, you're just a happy, bubbly person and where you know anyway, no one's going to take you seriously. Well, sorry to disappoint you. And I really mean that. I really am sorry to disappoint you, but I must be doing something right when I still get friend requests and comments and messages in my inbox from students I used to teach back in 2000 something. And I'm talking early 2000s, okay? I must be doing something right when God blessed me with my own ESL tutoring company that is doing quite well, I'm happy to say. And people are now taking more notice of the work that I've been doing and putting out here on social media, even here on YouTube. So, yeah. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. Ignore them. Seriously. I give you permission. Ignore them. You don't have to cuss them out and you don't have to be nasty. Just la 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 la. Go back to 5 years old when we say la 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 la. Do that. Okay? Because I promise you, when you love what you do and you care about what you do, it doesn't matter what anyone thinks or says, because it will be those same people. Y'all know who you are, because I still see y'all peeking around on my social media. They're the same ones who be watching you. And you're thinking, wait a minute. You had all this talk and all this hate towards me. Why would you care what I do now? But they do. And they will be watching. And they will come to your events. And they will low-key stalk you. Because that just seems to be the way this goes. So, I am a real teacher. Proud of it. Yes, I have 3 degrees, 3 certifications. I also have a certification here from New York State. I am a licensed limited liability company, LLC. Applied ESL is my own company. I'm the founder and the only teacher of this company. Yes, and if you don't believe me, you are welcome to Google my name, and I promise you everything I just said is out there. So, okay. and I have a lot of experience to back me up on everything that I'm saying to you. So it's not to say this to brag in no way, but I just want to make it clear that I'm proud of what I do, friends, and I'm not going to stop just because somebody... Your opinion is your opinion, and you're entitled. And I will continue to do this till I'm 100 years old. So let me just say this now. I will do this until I'm 100 years old. So if you're mad now, you're going to be mad for a very long time. So sorry to disappoint you. But I still love you, because you know what? Sometimes people who don't believe in you or who hate on you, that's the motivation sometimes, believe it or not, that we need to move forward. So I don't hate nobody. Let me just make that clear. There's no hate. I don't hate nobody. Even if y'all were not cool with me, y'all weren't nice, it's okay. I don't hate you. I don't hate nobody. I have nothing but love in my heart. I believe in God. I go in His light. And at the end of the day, I'm living my life, and I hope you all well. But for my supporters out there, you already know you got hugs. So y'all get the hugs, okay? Hugs for here, hugs over there. A whole lot of hugs. Thank you so much for watching this video. Keep smiling, keep striving. Know that we will all be okay, and always try your best.